officer elections.
I think we might need votes after each one of those.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, but I think we need votes on each one of those motions, right? Don't we have to
Yes, I'm
approve by
sorry.
vote real quick? So
No, yeah, he's saying that we
we need
made,
to step back to the previous two and just have a real quick vote. So we had a motion
made
and a
motions
second
and
on
seconds,
two
but we
different
didn't
things,
vote.
but we didn't vote. That's right.
sorry. So let's go back to agenda. We had it first, yep, and second?
Yep,
So all in favor.
there we go. And meet
Now
the-
to minutes. We had a first and a second, and all in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay. Now moving on to elections. Got me all flustered, Bonnie.
Yeah.
Exactly. So are there any motions, or would anyone like to make a motion to elect, to nominate officers? Chair and vice chair? Chair first.
All right, so I'm going to make a motion to nominate Miss Kate for chair.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, and is there a nomination for vice chair?
I'll keep going and I'll nominate Antonio for vice chair.
I'll second that. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay. Moving on to new business, rezoning 22-44.
Good evening, and congrats to both of y'all. Appreciate that. It's going to be great. The first item this evening is rezoning case 2244 for the Fort Mill School District on Gold Hill Roads. Tax map number is 719-0000199. The request for this evening is to rezone an 88-acre parcel from light industrial to office and institution, LI to OI. This will allow the development of an elementary and a middle school campus. This will also require a special exception from the Board of Zoning Appeals if it's approved by yourself and then also by council. The property is located on the south side, actually the east side of I-77 in between Springfield Parkway and Highway 21. It's a relatively large parcel here. It's mostly wooded, a lot of floodplain as well. In the area, you'll see some light industrial to the north. There is some multifamily on the west, and the south side there are some single-family residential properties. As I mentioned, there is a significant floodplain on the western part of that piece of property, as well as some significant slope. As you'll see from the site plan here, they're utilizing the area that's outside, every bit of it that's outside of that floodplain. So that site plan kind of corresponds with outside of the floodplain, just kind of give you a visual of where they're developing the property. Zoning for the area, there is a mixture of zoning districts for here. There's OI next door as well as some GC. The OI and GC they're actually developed right now as multifamily. Back in the day, you could do that in that district. Now you cannot. So we have OI and GC nearby. On the south side is some RSF 40. There's also some neighborhood commercial in the area. So it's a lot of mixture of uses throughout here, but predominantly it's light industrial. The comprehensive plan for the area is the I-77 corridor employment, which makes sense since you're right next to I-77. There's a lot of other industrial sort of uses around the area. And as you know, the I-77 corridor is intended to be able to reserve some land to target industries of regional and statewide importance. Staff here is recommending approval for this request. Even though it's not a target industry, remember that schools do have a lot of employment, and so it does achieve that goal of being able to have an employee base located next to this area here in the I-77 corridor. It's also very compatible with the uses that are around that, the neighborhoods nearby, and it's not a bad next to the light industrial uses. Once again, staff recommends approval, and if you have any questions of staff.
Are there any questions of staff?
I do have a real quick one.
Sure.
I didn't see anything about a traffic impact analysis on this.
Right,
And-
that is done, it's not done during the rezoning process, but it has
Okay.
already been submitted. It's actually, I think, being done, completed, it was today, actually, but it has not been fully completed. But that'll be taken care of during the development process, where we'll go and review that, not during the rezoning process.
But there is one happening as
Absolutely.
part of this, right?
It's already
Yeah.
been submitted.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Will there be any consideration for road improvements for that stretch of Gold Hill Road?
I don't believe the TIA called for any road improvements. I will highlight that this is really nice to see on this map here. As you can see this section over here, as I'm pointing on the cursor up on this screen, this will be the new alignment of Gold Hill Road as part of a Penny's project. But nothing is, that I know of, there might be some turn lanes required here, but no improvements to the road or the geometry of the road itself.
I know you had said the scale is compatible with surrounding land uses, but there's no concern with those homes across the street like that, and especially if turn lanes are added, there's gonna be restricted movement for those residents.
Well, staff always thinks it's important to be able to have schools in your neighborhoods.
Yeah,
To be able to, have your people that are coming here, or maybe right across the street from you. There will be turn lanes to be able to locate them in ways that will minimize the interaction with the adjacent neighborhoods.
well, if it could be rezoned, I would think this would be not as good as appropriate use as it could be.
Are there any additional questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. All those in favor? Moving on to rezoning 22-48.
Case number 2248 for William Ratchford on Stallion Spirit Trail in Clover. It's tax map number 36000000046. The request is to rezone a 15-acre parcel from RSF 40 to RUD, and the purpose here is to be able to keep and raise livestock. The request is a result of a complaint that we received and a subsequent code enforcement for actually having the animals already there. Property's located south of Clover and east of 321 near Jim McCarter Road. Zooming in here, as you can see, there is some existing farm-like structures. This was at one time was a company called Rideability, and they had horses there. It then also became an event center, and so there were a variety of different horse-related uses occurring at this piece of property here. So therefore, they already had some of the equipment in the buildings for those kinds of livestock or animals. The property is relatively flat. It does slope back to the pond and the creek on the western side of the properties. Zoning for the area here is predominantly RSF 40, but these are very, very large lots. There are some RUD also in the area. And the comprehensive plan for this property, for this area here, is rural residential. And as you know, that is for low-density residential, agriculture uses, and homesteads as well, and does align with the RAD zoning districts. And because of that, staff recommends approval. It's consistent with the comprehensive plan and the future land use map, and it's compatible with the area and the surrounding area. Any questions of staff?
Yeah, I have one question. I know, I'm familiar with this neighborhood, and that's been there for a long time. Is it just because the livestock is there now, or is it because it's been non-compliant the entire time?
No, it's only because of the livestock. So it could have been a house, and they could have had horses there as well. But when you bring in other animals, chickens, I think some ducks, some cows, perhaps goats, those sorts of livestock, then it has to get rezoned to RUD.
Any additional questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second.
All those in favor? Okay, moving on to rezoning 22-49.
This is request 2229 Pamela Pendleton on Walnut Farm Road in York, 38600000006. The request is to rezone a 1.12 acre portion of a 38 acre parcel from AGC to RUD. And the request is necessary to be able to subdivide the existing home from the larger parcel as part of a division distribution of property from a death. It's a very odd-shaped parcel to begin with. It's located just south of 55, just south of the city or town of Clover. And zooming in here, as you can see, this area in blue is the area to be rezoned to RUD. And the applicant wants to subdivide out that house and that 1.12 acres just around the house from the rest of the property. The rest of the property will remain as being AGC. As far as environmental goes, this portion of the property is relatively flat with no environmental features. The further down part does have some floodplain. For zoning for the area here is mostly AGC, but adjacent to some RSF 40. The comprehensive land use plan shows the area here is agricultural, but it's also, again, it's adjacent to rural residential. As you know, that's for single-family homes, working farms, and forestry for the agricultural designation. Staff recommends approval of the request. It is mostly consistent with the comprehensive plan and the future land use map. This rezoning will not remove a property that's currently used as a farm, and it would allow the uses that are compatible with the existing neighborhood. Any questions for staff?
Just out of curiosity, so was this done before? Is that how you get, it's like that hole in the middle?
I don't know what the whole, that must still be larger than 5 acres. And I believe it was a family member also that lives in that area there. It's just to the south from the property. Mm-hmm. So they cut out that piece for, I think, another son, and he has his property there. And so this is for another child, and they want to cut out, but they don't want to cut out 5 acres. And so they're just going to get it rezoned to RUD.
Diane, question, you have a condition following the approval?
We do have that condition, and that's to be able to make sure that they get that property recorded within 90 days of the approval.
Yeah.
Are there any additional questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
With the condition?
I will make a motion to approve with the condition.
Second.
Sorry.
All those in favor? And moving on to rezoning 22-50.
This is case number 2250 for Carla Yoder. It's on McKnight Road in Smyrna. It actually involves 3 parcels, 15500000014, 015, and 023. The rezoning is to rezone portions of 3 parcels. Some are going from AGC to RUD, and some are going from RUD to AGC. And the purpose of that is to be able to recombine the existing 3 parcels to create 4. And already there's some variety of zoning districts in there, and they want to go ahead and clean all that up and recombine to create 4. But there will be no new development will be occurring. The homes are already there. As you can see, this is off of McKnight Road, which is just south of Highway 5 in the western part of the county. And the areas to be rezoned, the areas that are in green, that's going to go to RUD, and the areas in AGC, in blue, are going to go to AGC. And as we get through here, environmental here, it obviously has some slope that goes back to a creek on the south part of the property, where there's actually a large pond. This kind of helps see how it's different, how it is right now, where we have properties that are currently split zoned. 2 of the properties on the south part, those both are split. And the second one above that, the third one on the top one, is all RUD or AGC, and that's going to be coming to RUD. And hopefully this plat will help figure out what we're doing here. So I'm going to use my cursor on this map here. This is all going to be recombined here into 1 parcel. So taking portions of this one and portions of that one into this one parcel. This current parcel here is gonna be split here and here, and that will be one parcel here, RUD. This right now is one parcel. It'll be split parts going to that track, and then creating two new tracks over here. Once again, it's to be able to split out the individual homes or trailers that are there right now. So that's a trailer here, there's one here, there's a house here, and there's a house down here. So it's to be able to create separate tracks with separate houses. And because it's split zoned and it's going less than 5 acres, we're having to do a combination of rezonings here. Comprehensive land use plan for the area here is agricultural. As we know, it's part of family homes, working farms, and forestry. We are recommending approval for this. It is mostly consistent with the comprehensive plan. The property is not an active farm, so we aren't taking anything away from being an active farm. And this will eliminate some parcels that are currently zoned, split zoned. Any questions for staff?
Is there a condition?
With the condition, yes, sir.
Okay,
I forgot to add those to my screens.
okay.
It's in the staff report, it should be. Within 90 days of approval.
Any questions? Anyone like to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve with staff recommendations and conditions.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay. Moving on to rezoning 22-42.
I was thinking I was done. Thought I was done. Forgot about this one. This is rezoning case 2242. It's a revised version. And this is part of a countywide rezoning of now 53 parcels to the Parks and Rec district. Just to remind you, a few months ago, you saw something very similar. We had a request in here to rezone 52 parcels that was part of from various districts to Parks and Rec. It was county council initiated throughout districts 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It's currently mostly owned by the county, but there is some private parcels there. 16 of those are either Duke Energy, Diener, and Pine Tuck Holdings. That's where we were a few months ago. And you all recommended approval with the recommendation to the Pine Tuck Golf Course be removed from that list. So at that meeting, it was brought up and questioned, well, why isn't River Hills part of this group of parcels as well? They're also a golf course. Well, staff went back, we considered that, we thought about it, looked at it, and said, you know what, you're right, it should be included. And so we brought it forward to county council and said, we think you need to amend that list and add River Hills Golf Course. They agreed with staff, and they added it to their meeting on December the 19th to include that golf course with everything else. And so because of that amendment, we're coming back to you to just talk about just that one parcel and adding that to it. And for those folks who aren't aware of it, this is a revised map for the Lake Wiley area, which adds the River Hills Golf Course to that list. Any questions of staff?
Was it just initially not included because you guys were kind of figuring out because it was built with the neighborhood versus
We
not?
thought it was part of an amenity for the neighborhood, and therefore it really wasn't going to be at risk. And looking back at that, we just couldn't find that, and so we felt it needed to go ahead and add that to the list.
Any additional questions? Would you like to make a motion?
I have a motion for this one that we approve the staff changes to add River Hill, but continue to recommend back to council that Pine Tuck be excluded from this.
Yeah, and that will go forward as your previous motion, so that doesn't change. We're just going to look at what this one is. And so you're saying to add River Hills to this, you're recommending approval.
Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay. So for just the information that we received, we don't,
That's for information only.
okay.
Yep. Those are for your items you requested.
Okay.
That's for the tree part, and then I provided you all with an annual report.
Did that get passed on to Jamie?
It's public information, and therefore, if anybody would like to review it, they may.
Gotcha. I know she's the one that requested it, so. So we're ready.
Any questions for any of the items for the tracking sheet or anything like that?
No?
Or the annual report, or anything that you've been given?
Yeah, just quick. I know the number of plats were like probably close to an all-time low.
Yes.
Is the feel of it that it's more market-based and not anything necessarily with like the new recode?
No, if I was to, just from what I'm feeling, is part of it is the market and just seeing where we're gonna lay out, where everything's gonna fall. Also, there's inventory. There's lots still being developed that are out there. And so I think some developers are finishing up, closing out current developments. There's still a few that have been approved that they're working forward in the Lake Wiley area. They're still making some movement towards that. I think it's those two, and it's just, there are some smaller ones coming forward, but nothing big. So I think it's probably just the market.
I know, I don't know if it's in here or not, I can't remember calling it, but have there been a lot of smaller subdivision plats that have come forward?
They're like this, they haven't, not like so small that you wouldn't see them, but just there's been the 10s, the 12s, that kind of stuff, but you would see all those.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, has it been, I guess the question I'm asking is, has it been, the trend been more, people they're submitting more like 5-lot subdivisions?
I think even that's even down too. Even the individual plat ones are down as well. So I think it's more market driven, or economy, and then just working off the inventory that they already have.
Any additional questions or concerns? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Thank you.